This book is called This is the Rope, A Story from the Great Migration, and it's a National Book Award winner written by Jacqueline Woodson, and it was illustrated by James Ransom. And the Great Migration was a period in history where a lot of African Americans in the South moved up north looking for better opportunities and less discrimination than they were facing in the South. And it has some great pictures. This is the rope my grandmother found beneath an old tree a long time ago back home in South Carolina. This is the rope my grandmother skipped under the shade of a sweet-smelling pine. This is the rope my grandfather used to tie the few things they owned to the top of a car that drove my grandmother, who was a mother now, from South Carolina all the way to a place called New York City. This is the rope my grandmother held tight to as my grandfather drove real slow past the people and big city buildings that seemed to go on and on. And you can see here, she's holding on to their things. This is the rope my grandmother used to dry the sweet-smelling flowers she grew in small window boxes, reminding her of the flowers back home, where the land, she said, went on and on. If you can see, they're hanging up here with the rope. This is the rope my grandfather strung so that my mama's diapers could blow dry in the hot city breeze. So now it's being used to air out those diapers. Diapers weren't disposable back then. They were made out of cloth and you had to wash them. And this is the rope my mama tied around a small ducky's neck, then pulled it along singing quack, quack, quack. This is the rope my mama held out to the girls on the block, her new Brooklyn block, a home of their own that they finally owned. Mama asked shyly, "Anybody want to play?" This is the rope my mama first tripped on as she sang with her friends. Miss Lucy had a baby, she named him Tiny Tim. This is the rope Mama's brothers took from her room for some crazy game that little boys play. This is the rope my mama found again 10 years later when my grandfather said, "We need a bit of rope to tie these things down inside this here car, like a rope we used to have from back home." Then he drove with my mama off to college far away from the city, while up at the window my grandmother waved. And here's the rope they had tying everything up. This is the rope my mama placed on the piano around family photos, and me just a baby and then a bit bigger, already reaching for it. This is the rope my daddy used when he showed me the way to tie a sailor's knot, 2 times around and pull it real tight. You want whatever you make or do in your life, my daddy said, to last. This is the rope my mama turned as she waved to my daddy and taught me to sing the Miss Lucy song out on our sidewalk right here in Brooklyn just last Friday night. They have it tied to the pole. This is the rope that held the sign saying, "We are all family" at our picnic reunion in the big park up the street from our home. So now it's holding up the sign. This is the rope, threadbare and graying, that I traded with Grandma for a brand new one. Then I jumped a new jump. My name is Beatrice. I come from Brooklyn. As my family smiled proudly and the sun began setting as Grandma held on to her rope from back home. And her long ago memory of sweet-smelling pine. So it seems like that rope had been around a long time throughout many generations, and it became a symbol of their family.